I'm Rich, I know some of you, haven't met quite a lot of you before. In case you missed at the start, I'm copywriter and editor here at Melt, so that's the perspective that I'm bringing on this. So first thing, when you're executing an email campaign, it's starting with your theme. Now, there are two ways of determining your theme. First of all, you have internal triggers. Those are things that are defined by your business. So that might be if you're a hotel, a refurb, or a new restaurant opening. If you're an OTA, then it might be a new product launch if you're moving into tours and activities. It could be a new route if you're an airline. Then there are external triggers, which are, as it suggests, things that you don't have control over. They're things like seasonality, Valentine's Day, Christmas, summer holiday booking windows, that kind of thing. The second thing you need to determine at the outset is your goal. What are you trying to achieve with your email campaign? Let's not shy away from the fact that it's always about sales, but you need to be more specific than that. You need to drill down. You need to have an instrumental goal as to how that forms part of your wider content strategy. So is it brand awareness? Is it to drive traffic? Is it to promote a new product? Is it purely to drive people to transactional pages and go for direct sales? If you're B2B, it might be a more complex branding proposition where you're trying to position yourselves as thought leaders, for example. Those two things, one can determine the other. The theme can determine your instrumental goal, or the other way around, but that's where you need to start with, because those two things are going to determine the content that's in your email and how you execute it, the kind of language you use, and what content you're actually producing. Next question that a lot of people ask is when to email, how often? This is actually something that I think people get too hung up on. The key really is to email when you have something meaningful and relevant to say. That is the most important thing. Be meaningful, be relevant. It's tempting maybe to bombard your customers with emails, to be constantly in their face, but as we all know, we've all been spammed, we've all received massively overzealous emails every single day from a company. You hit unsubscribe. Generally speaking, that only has one result. It's very, very easy to overdo it. So the more important question than when to email is what to email, and how good is what you're emailing. It's about quality over quantity. The most important thing is quality, and the way that you do that is prioritizing the needs of the reader. Now, that's the case with absolutely any content, and I'd encourage you to do that when you're writing copy of any kind. That goes for print, on-site copy, absolutely anywhere. But it's really, really important with email that you offer value, that you're clear in what it is that you're offering, in other words, your proposition, and that you target your audience through careful segmentation. Now, I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but quality might sound obvious, but it's actually very complex, and it has two parts to it. There's, first of all, the micro level, and at a textual level, say in your email, so spelling, grammar, style, images, all of that obvious stuff. But then there's also quality of your message, your overall proposition, what it is that you're emailing, and that's the macro level. Next key thing to this is planning and preparing. Map out a quarterly or even a yearly email calendar for the next 3 months, year, whatever. That will allow you to make email a part of your content strategy with everything else that you're doing. So if you're writing blog posts, you can tailor your emails to work with those to drive organic traffic. That will also link up with all of your commercial activities, so promos, sales, key booking windows. It's really, really important to have a reasonably long view so that you can coordinate all of your activity and your email doesn't just exist on its own. Apart from anything, things like making sure that the blog post that you're linking to is up. All of those things. If you send out an email with broken links in it, that's going to annoy your readers very, very quickly. Yes, it's a good idea to get your customers in the habit of hearing from you so that they're used to opening your emails. Again, don't overdo it. So before we look at a couple of examples, I'm just going to look at some email don'ts. Not going to look at these in massive detail, but I just like looking at subject lines because they're actually really, really instructive and kind of the window on the soul of an email campaign. So these are some really handy examples. These are all from my personal Gmail account. So this is perhaps also too much insight into my personal life, but there we go. Let's just go ahead. Now this first one, if you can't see these, don't worry, you will get emailed a copy of the presentation afterwards. But the first one, the subject line is "Don't miss Queens of the Stone Age tickets." You can see it's dated 22nd of June. Nothing wrong with that, copy's fine. "Don't miss" as a textual device can kind of work. It's better than telling people buy, buy, buy. "Don't miss" is generally far more effective. The key to this is the date. It's 22nd of June. The reason that I received this email is because my email address went into that events company's database on the 19th of June when I bought Queens of the Stone Age tickets. The real kicker here is I also happen to know that tickets to that gig sold out on the 21st of June. So best guess is that they've just done a blanket email to absolutely everyone in their email database. They haven't segmented by people who've already bought tickets to that event, and they haven't segmented by interest. So they're a reasonably heavy rock band. Good chances that probably 70% of the people in their email database are not Queens of the Stone Age fans, and they're not in the least bit interested. Second one. This is from, and this is a really good one. This is from an unnamed French ski resort. They will be unnamed. I'm not going to name and shame. The subject line: "It was really great." I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Other thing that they've missed here is they clearly haven't optimized for the preview text that Gmail gives you. And yeah, nice that actually I opened this afterwards and they've got a reasonably well-designed email full of some decent HTML Dreamweaver images, but they haven't put any text in. So the preview text that I've got is just the file names of the images. That's actually an interesting one as well, because I also happen to get emails in French from this company. And the French subject line is exactly the same in French. So what they're doing is they're just translating their email campaigns. It's a slightly different point, but they're not doing any transcreation. And that's actually really, really important with all content marketing. Email being a part of that is that if you have a multilingual customer base, it usually isn't enough just to translate. You need to translate the message as well and make sure that that's culturally appropriate. Next one, what's happened here is they're not really offering me any value. This is from a car hire company that I used on my last holiday, who will remain unnamed. The subject line is, "Was it love on first drive, Richard?" I did end up opening this one, but they have made the fatal error of complacency here. They're assuming that I want to hear from them because they're not communicating any kind of proposition to me in that subject line. If anything, they're possibly trying to trick me into opening with some kind of mystery line, and maybe there'll be something interesting. They're a car hire company. There's not going to be anything interesting there. I don't really want to hear from them. This last one, really, really good example of poor segmentation. That top one is more to do with transactional data and dates. This is just really, really fundamental on your data on your customer. This is from a printing company that I used. In fact, I didn't even use them. I got some quotes for my wedding invites from them, quantity of about 50 or something. They know from that transactional data that I'm not an industry customer. I'm an individual, I'm a private customer, and they're emailing me with latest industry news, tips and advice from the printing industry. Fantastic. So what this demonstrates is the importance of segmentation and having a really, really clear proposition in your email and having a relevant message. So the basics of actually getting that right are that meaningful message, segment, understand what it is that your customer wants to hear from you, what they want to get from you, what they want to read about. A compelling subject line, because it's obviously, as we all know, this is a very hot topic on email marketing and something that people want to know about. It's no good writing fantastic, engaging body copy and coming up with some lovely templates if nobody's opening your emails. You need to get that right, obviously. You do need to have engaging body text. You need to have clear, concise copy in your emails, and it needs to be on brand. We'll come to a little bit more on QA and some important points on that in a bit. Visual content, I think we can all agree that when you're selling such experiential products as you do in the travel industry, visual content is extremely powerful. It's usually very important. Absolutely vital, and this is driven by both your theme and your goal, is a clear call to action. Might be a book now button, browse availability, it might just be some inline links, but getting that clear call to action right in your email is absolutely vital, because that is the whole point of doing it. So if you start out and you don't know what your call to action is, you're going to fail. That is absolutely key to success. So some good editorial practice. Just some do's and don'ts on these. I mean, these are general writing, but they do apply in particular to email. You don't have to be Hemingway, but you do have to be error-free, is what I've said here. What I mean by that is you don't have to be the world's best copywriter. I think there's a stat somewhere in our email marketing guide which you can download. It's targeted at hotels, but all the principles in it apply. I think it's something like 85% of email marketing is done in-house in the hotel industry at very least. Other industries, I think it's similar. Might not be that you have a huge amount of copywriting expertise, and that's fine. You don't have to be hugely entertaining, but you do have to be error-free. Spelling, grammar, punctuation, all of those things. Have and use a style guide. Be on brand. This is so important with absolutely any text that you produce. Do you use US or British English? Do you spell Marrakesh with an S or a C? Do you call it Burma or Myanmar? All of those things, you need to be consistent in the way that you communicate with customers. For a lot of travel businesses, you'll only interact with your customers in a transactional sense 1, maybe 3 times a year at most. So actually emails can be the most common form of interaction that you have with them. If you're portraying yourself as unprofessional, you're doing yourself a huge disservice and potentially losing business. Little personal one there, because that's a bugbear of mine. Avoid puns. For some reason, a really, really disproportionate number of copywriters and marketers, when they come to write a subject line, they get it into their heads that it has to read like a tabloid headline or a supermarket shelf talker or something. They're not the same thing. They won't get people to open your emails. Just be clear and concise. We've got an example here. I'll whiz through this. Again, don't worry if you can't read this, because you'll get the deck, and you can also see this in our email marketing guide. But we've got a theme here, which is it's a happy birthday email. Really, really common one. But the point is, again, I left it out. I got one this year from my travel insurance company. It just said happy birthday. I didn't open it because I know that my insurance company isn't going to be offering me anything in particular. So offer something if you do this. What we've done here is you're offering free drinks when this person books a stay at your hotel. So the subject line is happy birthday, first name, drinks are on us. It's nice and clear. It's well within character limits for pretty much all email clients, so you won't get the end bit missed off. And it conveys a very, very clear value proposition to the customer. So you've spelled out the terms of the offer, no minimum stay, book any room with us in the next month and you'll get a free bottle of Prosecco. The call to action here is to click through. So you'd have a link on that browse our availability text there. You could even add a button for browse our availability, but the key is that you have a clear call to action and you have a clear goal for what you want to achieve with this, which is basically pretty starkly transactional. Little point on using a name in your subject line. Kind of received wisdom is that using someone's first name in a subject line is a really good idea because it's personalised and it also catches people's attention. Not sure that I agree with that. Use it if it's natural. Here, it is completely natural. A first name collocates with happy birthday. In other words, it works in that context. If it's first name followed by just some random instruction to do something, it's a little bit jarring and it can read as spammy. We'll look at another example which I'll whiz through. This one is offering a free upgrade to a loyal customer. So the goal here is loyalty. This is a loyalty boosting effort. That's the strategy behind the campaign. What we're doing is offering an upgrade because I know that for my loyalty efforts, they're going to be helped more by offering products as opposed to teaching my customers to shop around for discounts. The subject line is have a free upgrade first name just because. Injecting just a little bit of personality there, which just a little bit can go a long way. It makes you a little bit more human as a brand. Obviously, if you're a lot more formal as a brand, say, then that might not work for you, but it's just an idea. Absolutely key to something like this in your body copy is if you make an offer like this, really, really spell out how it works and make the terms of the offer clear. So in this, what we've said is the whole of the second paragraph says it's subject to availability, but you can check that now. Just book any double room and we'll upgrade it. No need to worry if it's happened. It'll all happen automatically in our booking system, so you'll be able to see before you commit. That little detail is absolutely vital to making a campaign like that work. Yes, it's a nice offer, but if you don't make it really, really obvious to your customer using your content how it's going to work and what they can expect, then you're actually asking for a little bit too much effort on their part. How many times am I going to have to click through? How will I know if the upgrade's been applied? Blah, blah, blah. Make it really, really clear, spell it out, tell them the value that they're going to get. And what that comes from, the way that you do that is when you start your email campaign, map out the user journey really and in a really, really detailed level. So if you've got links in your email, predict where the customer's going to go next, what's going to happen when they click through to that page, what they're going to see when they land on it. Final point before you send, test your email templates. I'm not talking about testing and measurement here. I'm talking tests to see whether they actually work. Just send it to yourself and check it on several different devices. Something like 80%, maybe even more than that of email opens happen on a mobile. Make sure it works on a mobile. Make sure it works on iPhone, Gmail, etc., etc. Check the coding, layout, images. All of those things. Also, not a bad time to give it a final proofread as well. You should do that twice before you send it anyway. But it's a good time then because you can see it fully laid out and you'll quite often catch a mistake that you might not have done before. And then finally, when you send, as Helena said earlier, measure and learn. The best way to do this with email is A/B testing, and you can A/B test a million different things. For anyone who isn't familiar with A/B testing, that's varying one element of the same thing. So you've got an A and a B version, send them both out, see how A and B perform. And you can measure all kinds of things, as Helena said, open rate, click-through, conversions, and you can see how those variations affect your metrics. So common examples are subject lines. Send the same email with a totally different subject line and see the difference in open rates. Then use that to inform your future email campaigns. You can test subject line length. This is something, again, that people get hung up on. There is no real best uniform length. About 50 characters tends to work, but you might find that your campaigns perform differently with shorter or longer subject lines. Images, you can vary just one image in an email and see what the click-through differences are, number of images potentially, send out an A version with one image, send out a B version with 5, see what happens. You can even change the commercial proposition and run effectively 2 different campaigns against each other and see how that performs. You could also, if you want, anyone who disagrees with me, A/B one subject line with a pun in it and another one without. And I would encourage you to see how that works and let me know.